Girl, just know when you give me a theme, you already know I'm gonna eat it up. So let's get ready together. I'm currently in London with Huda Beauty celebrating the launch of the new Easy Bake Intense fragrance. And tonight is the big launch party. And if you know anything about Huda, bigger is always better. I'm pretty sure this is like my 5th launch with them. I did Easy Bake Ube, I did Easy Bake Setting Spray, I did Easy Bake Duo, I did Easy Bake Press, and now we're celebrating the Easy Bake Intense fragrance. The theme for tonight is Pink Maximalist, but Huda Beauty only sent me the dress code 5 days before I had to fly out. And I think people forget sometimes that I'm a dude. I'm a big, fucking tall, hairy man. So finding a pink maximalist outfit for somebody like me within 5 days isn't really that realistic. Anyways, to keep a long story short, I ended up finding the most perfect outfit. All I'm saying is once I walk in, everybody can just go home. For foundation, I'm wearing the new Estée Lauder Double Wear formula. Everybody keeps saying that I'm lying for a check and that I don't actually like this formula. Just because you have trust issues with your man doesn't mean you gotta have them with me, girl. Now I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury cream bronzer in the shade 2 medium. I'm gonna use this to cream bronze / cream contour. These are really neutral for my skin tone, so it's kind of a nice in-between. For cream blush, this has been my cocktail for months now. It's excessive, but it looks so good. First, I'm gonna use the Huda Beauty blush filter in the shade Latte. This I like to use like a bronzer topper, almost like a bronzer. So I apply this really high up on my cheeks and even onto my forehead and even going into my eyelids. This shade kind of brings that sun-kissed look to your skin. Next, I'm gonna use the shade Cotton Candy. This is a really soft, cool tone pink. I like to use this because it helps neutralize your foundation and make it look a little less golden, which is gonna give you that really smooth baby doll under eye. And now in between those two shades, I'm gonna use the shade Peach Sorbet and apply it right in the middle to blend the two together. This shade is actually pretty intense, so I'm not gonna use too much. A little bit goes a long way. And with that same brush, I'm just gonna fuse the two together. And now you can start working on your under eyes. First, I'm gonna use the Huda Beauty color corrector in the shade Pink Pomelo. You don't need a lot of this, just a little dot right in the inner corner. See how my blush blends into my under eye seamlessly without a harsh line just sitting there? And once that's blended out, next I'm gonna use the Huda Beauty concealer in the shade Cookie Dough. If you guys remember, I was like a Too Faced Born This Way freak for years, and then I just stopped liking it. Now before I blend any of this out, you know the drill. You have to prep your powder puff before you blend out your concealer. I'm using the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Duo in the shade Cherry Peach. I love this one because it's a mix of cherry blossom and peach pie, which are my 2 favorite shades. So I'm gonna take my powder puff and dunk it straight into the powder, getting both shades. And then you're gonna wanna press onto the back of your hand to make sure the puff is evenly coated. Then you can go ahead and start blending everything out except your under eyes. This is gonna give your under eye concealer a chance to set down so it gives you more coverage. I get questions all the time on what brush I use to blend out my concealer. This is the Kosas Under Eye Powder Brush. It's meant for powder, but it blends concealer out like a dream. I always say you wanna blend one under eye at a time because once you blend this one out and then you go to blend this one, this side is already creased, so what's the point? And if you have a lot of fine lines or wrinkles, you can always take your compact and look up into it. This is gonna stretch your under eye so you can blend out all those creases, making it look flawless. Now I'm gonna jump back into my blush brush and use this to blend the seam together. And once you have that perfect blend, switch to your powder puff without even looking down, and from the inside corner, press outwards. Ugh, it gets me every single time. I wanna be buried with Easy Bake. And now once one under eye is set, take your powder puff and grab some more of the loose powder, and then you can start blending out the other under eye. Now one more time, I'm gonna grab some more powder, and I'm gonna use this to set the rest of my makeup. Now obviously my hair isn't staying like this, so I have to bring it forward and let my curls dry down. So what I actually do is I finish my forehead only so that I can pull my curls down and let them dry while I do the rest of my makeup. For bronzer, I'm gonna use the MAC Studio Fix Foundation Powder. This is the OG formula. I'm gonna be honest, I've tried to use the new one. I'm being more open-minded. I still don't like it. And whenever you use a loose powder, you always wanna go in with a pressed powder on top. This is the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Pressed Powder in the shade Cherry Blossom. I'm gonna take this with a fluffy brush like this, and I'm gonna use this to brighten my under eyes and make them bulletproof. I'm gonna take my powder blush. This is the blush filter palette in the shade Toasty Peach, and I'm gonna use this shade right here, tap off the excess, and I'm gonna use this to marry the two together and again make them look seamless. Right away you'll notice how that literally face-tuned the two together to make them look way smooth. And then I'm gonna take the Huda Beauty blush filter palette in the shade Baby Pink, and I'm gonna use this shade right here, and I'm gonna take this and apply it right up my under eyes. Then I'm gonna take my Easy Bake pressed powder with my Huda Beauty blush filter palette, and I'm gonna use a powder puff to pick up both those shades together. This is gonna create like a custom baby pink under eye powder. The goal here is to literally look like a filter, and this is exactly what that does. Look at how flawless that looks. Now I'm gonna take a bit more of that loose powder, and I'm gonna use this to bake because a bitch still likes to bake. Don't get it twisted. And while that sits, we're gonna move on to our eyes, brows, and lips. So I'm gonna use the Makeup by Mario Neutrals palette, and I'm gonna pick up this shade right here. And I'm gonna throw this into my crease. It doesn't have to be neat. And then with a smaller brush, I'm gonna take that same shade, and I'm gonna blend that into my bottom lash line. If you have fine lines and wrinkles, this is a really easy way to blend those fine lines away without making them look noticeable. Why do you think Kris Jenner was always in a black smoky eye before her facelift? I have my brows laminated, so I can kind of just move my brow hairs wherever I want them to go. I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz in the shade Soft Brown. This has been the only brow pencil I've used for like 15 years now. Okay, now I want to do a bit of body glow, so I'm gonna take off my necklace. I hate a body glow that transfers, especially if my outfit isn't my outfit. So first I'm gonna use the Krylon Mixing Medium. This is like super industrial strength, like nothing is getting rid of this. I'm gonna use a lot because I'm doing it on my body. And then I have this sample size strobe cream that I'm just gonna use the entire thing. And then of course, I'm gonna use a bunch of this glitter. And I'm gonna use a big ass brush like this to start mixing everything together. The goal with this to make it look good is you wanna build it up in really thin layers. So I'm gonna do first one layer, and then we're gonna do a second layer, and then we're gonna do a third layer. I think this should be enough. Okay, this is looking really good. Now we're gonna lock it in with the Krylon fixing spray. There's nothing stronger than this. But people always think more is better with this, which is not true. You don't need a lot. If you do more than this, it's actually gonna start to peel and flake off your skin, which is not what you want. Now I'm gonna go back to that baby pink blush palette and grab the highlighter. And I'm gonna apply this on the high points of my cheeks going into my eyelids. Now before you apply mascara, you always wanna apply your setting spray first. First, I'm gonna go in with MAC Fix Plus. This isn't gonna help your makeup last longer, but it's gonna make your makeup look more like skin. And then I'm gonna use the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. This one's also gonna melt down those powders and make your makeup look more like skin. But unlike MAC Fix Plus, this one actually does make your makeup last longer. And then I'm gonna finish it off with a layer of the Krylon Fixing Spray. Not a lot, just a little bit. And once that's all set down, now you can go and curl your lashes. If you were to curl your lashes before you sprayed your setting spray, the moisture from the setting spray would literally just make your curl fall right back down. This makeup came out exactly how I saw it in my head. Now let me go put on my outfit because that's where the real fantasy comes alive. Girl, just know when you give me a theme, you already know I'm gonna eat it up. This outfit is everything I could have ever wanted. Wait, you need full body. Hold on. This look is everything. Shout out to Fitzroy Rentals in Toronto because I would have never found anything like this. Now I gotta go because Huda's literally calling me. Bye.